Oh, it's 2-0 for Brazil. Tell me Vinicius has scored two. Vinicius has scored a brace. Vinicius has scored a brace. Wow. Forget about forget about forget about um forget about GTA 6. Vinicius has scored a brace. We don't care about GTA 6. Vinicius has scored a brace. He's having a great tournament. So he's got 5 goals now, I think. Or 4? I think he had. How many did he have? How many does he have now? He has. Let me check actually. Vinicius. He's having a great tournament. Love it for him. He has 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got 4 goals. Oh, he's got 1, 2, 3. What? He's got 3. He's got 5 goals now. Yeah, he's got 5. Because he scored a goal against. Oh no, Panama. What am I thinking? He's got 4 goals. Okay. Which is good. It's good. Haaland has got 4 goals. Vinicius has got 4 goals. Everyone is just cooking. Everyone is just cooking. This is a great World Cup. Evander Fury asking the hard-hitting questions. This might lead to a big conversation. This might lead to a big conversation that we can use for a YouTube video. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? We can use this for a YouTube video? What are your genuine thoughts on the GTA 6 Ultimate Edition paywall situation? That's a topic. That's a topic. Before I do get into this, is gonna be like a mini, rant and what I do think about the situation. But I think, all right, let's talk about something. Let's talk about something that I think is crazy, and I do want to be upfront about something before I do get into it. I am excited about the game. Genuinely, I think this is going to be one of the most significant things to happen in gaming in a long time. I think it's going to be, it's going to be great. It's going to be 10 out of 10. I think everyone thinking the gameplay is going to be ass probably doesn't know what they're talking about. This is Rockstar, but precisely because I care about the franchise in this industry, which is the gaming industry, I think some things that are happening around this launch deserve a little bit more scrutiny that they're getting. There's scrutiny around it, but I don't think it's enough. And the reason they're not getting it is because the hype is so overwhelming. People love this game. People don't want this game to flop. People have waited 13 years for this game. It's crazy. But let's get into the Ultimate Edition content locks. If you're watching this on YouTube and you do go on to enjoy the video, enjoy the content, enjoy my opinion on this topic, do make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you are new, and let's get into it. Because if we get into the whole situation, there's 2 editions now. There's a standard, $80, ultimates, $100. $20 difference. Not that much to some people. And on the surface, that might sound completely normal. Premium edition with some bonus content. Totally standard industry practice. Nothing to see here. But when we get into the nitty gritty, what's locked behind the $20, the extra $20, this stops being a standard premium edition conversation pretty quickly. And it starts becoming something else entirely. Because we're not just talking about extra outfits. We're not talking about a different colored car or a bonus weapon skin. We're talking about entire locations, being inaccessible to standard edition players. Ride out customs, a full vehicle modification shop in Vice City. Only open for business with the Ultimate Edition. Cyrus Unisex Salon. Only open for business with the Ultimate Edition. Electric Fang Tattoos. Only open for business with the Ultimate Edition. A clothing store called Stockyardies. Stockyards? Jesus, Stockyardies. Stockyards. I'm trying to go basically off of what I remember. Only open for business with the Ultimate Edition. A gang compound with what sounds like a full side mission. An exclusive classic car restoration questline with a character, multiple garages, multiple mod shops across different regions of the map. only open for business with the Ultimate Edition. And you're gonna have to bear with me here. The thing I think should be making people more uncomfortable is the fact that it it currently is, you know, we don't know if these are one location among many that happen to be premium, or if these are the locations, like these are the locations that are in the game. Is Rideout Customs one mod shop in a city full of mod shops, or is it a D mod shop in Vice City? We don't know that yet. And that's the question. That's the problem here, because Rockstar haven't made that clear. And I think that ambiguity is not accidental. Rockstar hasn't clarified it because I think that's it. I think that's it. I really, really think that's it. Now, I want to address, the obvious response to all this, because I know what it is. I've seen Twitter. I've been on Twitter right after the pre-order thing came out, the pictures came out, and people were able to pre-order it. People are saying it's $20. It's not that much. We've had a lot of time to save for this game. And in the context of a game that you're going to play for potentially hundreds of hours, $20 extra is nothing, to be honest. And I understand that argument does sound appealing. It does sound reasonable. It does sound like perspective, but I think you're missing the point if you're making that argument, and you're missing an important question, which isn't about the dollar amount at all. The real question here should be whether what's being locked behind the paywall is genuinely additive premium content. Like, stuff that is built specifically and exclusively for people who want more. Or is it just content that is supposed to be in the game that has been deliberately withheld to create upgrade pressure? And when you look at what's actually locked, several of these items just feel like they're supposed to be in the game. Think about what a mod shop actually represents in the history of GTA. Vehicle customizations has been a core part of this franchise since San Andreas. Los Santos Customs in GTA 5. That wasn't a premium feature. It was fundamental to how you interacted with the world. I mean, it wasn't even part of the missions. When Michael is chasing the boat with his kid on it, you have to, go fix the car at LS Customs. And, that's something that's supposed to be part of the game. It's basic. It's I don't know what else to describe that with. So when Rockstar is locking a mod shop, behind a $20 premium, they're not just adding something new and special to the experience for paying customers. They're potentially removing something that players reasonably expect to be included in the base game and putting a price on access to it. Because keep in mind, Rideout Customs was in both trailers. Everyone that analyzed both trailers were like, Rideout Customs is going to be the LS Customs of GTA 6. And, to now hear that it's behind a $20 extra paywall, I don't know. I think Rockstar wanted to do the $100 thing and they were just too scared to do it. And they just did $80 and then, $20 extra for extra content, quote unquote. I'm doing air quotes, but you can't see that right now. Another human dimension of this that I don't want to skip past is because I think, it's actually the most important part of the conversation, and it's not getting a lot of airtime, is that gaming has always had the quality of being the great equalizer. It didn't matter where you were, who you were, what you had, where you came from. You bought the game, your friend bought the game, we were both in the same world, having the same experience. You could compare notes. You could argue about the same missions. You could discover the same secrets together. The shared experience at some point back in the day was actually the point. The communal dimension of it was inseparable from what, made gaming culture special. And I think I'm thinking about the teenager right now that, has been following GTA 6 for years, who's watched every trailer, who knows every detail about Vice City. Jason and Lucia, who has been counting down from November 19, down to November 19 with a kind of anticipation that only exists when you're young and something means everything to you. And that teenager has found a way to scrape together $80, and maybe it takes them a few months. It's gonna be a while. Maybe it's your birthday money. Maybe it shifts from a part-time job and they buy the standard edition because that's what they can afford. They start playing the game. The game is extraordinary. Is gonna be crazy. And they walk up to Ride Out Customs in Vice City and it's closed. And there's a message telling them that it's only available in the Ultimate Edition. And they go onto YouTube and they see someone doing the Wyman Classic car restoration quest line and they don't have access to it. And they watch a video of someone getting their car, and their character styled at Sarah's salon, and their game won't let them do it because they purchased the standard edition. That experience, that knowing specifically and concretely that you're missing out on something, being unable to access it because of money, I mean, so it's a different thing. It's a different thing to, just knowing what you've done, what you're missing. It's a fracture in the shared experience, that gaming used to guarantee. You used to get games and I go to LS Customs and I do the same thing that you can do. It's not locked behind a $20 extra of, oh, you can pay $20 and do this, and if I don't pay $20 I wouldn't be able to do this. And if that's how it's gonna be, I don't think we should let the $20 amount make us comfortable with what the gaming culture is actually supposed to represent. Now, let's talk about the design of this system, because I think another point to this is understanding what Rockstar has actually built. Here is important for having any honest conversation about the topic, because Rockstar has confirmed that you can upgrade to the Ultimate Edition at any time after purchasing the Standard Edition, which does sound like it's a good thing. It's consumer friendly. It's flexible, no pressure. You can upgrade. You can upgrade the game whenever you want to upgrade the game. But think about that for a moment. There's an Ultimate Edition that you can upgrade to at any time. Think about that for a minute, because it reveals something about the intent behind the system. If this was genuinely just about rewarding people who paid more upfront, there would be no upgrade path. I've never seen an Ultimate Edition where if you pay, for the Standard Edition, you can upgrade it to the Ultimate Edition in the future. You either get it or you don't. And, you buy the edition you want before launch, you get it, you pay for what you got, and that would be it. But the fact that there's an upgrade path existing there should tell you something very specific, that the game is designed with the explicit awareness that the Standard Edition players are going to run into this locked content during play and feel that friction of the encounter. Going up to closed shops that would be there on the map, the icons will be visible. They're there. They're in the game. You experience the desire to access them. And then when you try to get into those stores, you're going to be offered the upgrade for $20. Just think about that. Think about that for a moment. Does that make sense to you? And, that don't sound like a consumer friendly feature. That sounds like a conversion mechanism. And it's a dark pardon from, I think, mobile gaming. Mobile gaming started stuff like this, where you show the player what they're missing, you wait for the desire to peak, you offer the unlock, you apply, to a $80 premium console title. I think naming that clearly is important. Really, really do. Not because the people at Rockstar who designed it are bad guys, but I think because understanding what a system is designed to do is the only way to evaluate it honestly. And this system is clearly going to be designed to convert standard buyers into ultimate buyers through in-game friction. That's what it's there for. That's the hard truth. That's what it's there for. Everyone else is just, packaging and stuff like that. And they know it's going to work. Rockstar, they know it's going to work. That's the part that kind of gets to me, because If you sit with this honestly, they've had over a decade of data from GT Online on how players respond to encountering contents that they don't have access to. They've watched millions of players see a new vehicle drop in GT Online and spend shark card money on its 48 hours of release. And they understand the psychology of desire and friction at a level that most studios can only guess at, because how many studios have GT Online? And they've been running probably one of the most profitable live service game in history, watching player behavior in extraordinary detail for years in GTA Online. So when they design that upgrade path, they're not just guessing about whether it will work. They know. They know it's gonna work. People are gonna get it. People are complaining, but people are gonna get it. That's the problem here. They're applying proven behavioral data to a new context. They know the conversion rate. They know the friction points, the specific moments in the game when encountering locked content is most likely gonna make you think, you know what, it's just $20. You're probably gonna encounter the locked content and think to yourself, it's just $20. They've probably modeled the revenue from standard to ultimate conversion as a significant line item in their financial projections. And my genuine prediction is that the number of people who end up in the ultimate edition, whether through buying it up front or upgrading later, is going to be significantly higher than the headlines suggest right now, because the game is going to do the selling for them. You're going to be playing the game. You're going to have a mission. You're going to probably drive past Rideouts Customs. You're going to see cars that have been customized by Rideouts Customs. You're going to be online. You're going to see the things people have done in their character customizations with the, unisex salons, the vehicle modifications, and you're going to want to get that $20 extra. You're going to do it. That's unfortunate, but you're going to do it. Now, I want to compare this to kind of like Hogwarts Legacy. Sorry, I blanked for a moment there. I was like, I was thinking about something and just overtook my thoughts. Sorry about that. I want to compare this to something that I think Hogwarts Legacy did when they launched. They locked the Haunted Shop side quest, which turned out to be one of the best pieces of content in the entire game. I did play it, behind the deluxe edition. And they locked the Dark Arts Arena. I think it was the Dark Arts Arena behind a premium tier as well. And the reaction from players who discovered what they were missing was genuinely frustrating. If you go on to, the Hogwarts Legacy Reddit, it was crazy. And they felt like the base game was just incomplete. Like that was supposed to be a part of the game, and they just decided to take it out and, put it in a premium version. And I think the reason I'm doing this comparison is that, GTA 6 and Hogwarts Legacy are single player games. And I think content locking hits differently and worse in a single player context than it is in a multiplayer game. In a multiplayer game, there's at least a coherent logic to premium tiers. You're in a shared space, the social dynamics make cosmetic differentiation feel like part of the ecosystem. There are enough players at every tier that the experience remains communal, even with paid players on top. And I still think the worst excesses of multiplayer monetizations are indefensible, but there is an internal consistency to the model. Single player is a completely different contract. When you sit down with a single player story driven game, you're entering into an implicit agreement with the developer. The agreement is, here's a world we built, here's a story we want to tell you, experience it as fully as you can, and then the developer's job is to make that world whole and complete. I'm going to highlight that. Whole and complete. The artistic premise of a single player game depends on the world feeling like a real place. Not a real place with some doors permanently locked because you didn't pay enough. That doesn't feel, proper. And the moment you do start locking pieces of that world behind a paywall, you're not just withholding content, you're undermining the artistic integrity of the experience itself. Rockstar's own marketing calls GTA 6 the most immersive GTA experience yet. Having locations that are visibly present in the world but commercially inaccessible to a significant portion of the player base is a direct and specific contradiction to that claim. You cannot be fully immersed in a world that has locked doors you can see but not enter. Just imagine, again, as I said, going to ride out customs and not being able to enter. Just think about it. That ain't gonna make no sense. That gonna make no sense. And I think it's a problem. And then there's a physical edition situation, which, I mean, I'm digressing from the Ultimate Edition, but the physical edition situation, which, no disc, just a code in a box. And look, I've heard the leak prevention argument, and I made that argument myself. When it came out first, I was like, it kind of makes sense to not have a physical copy because GTA has the history of being leaked. But major games getting leaked through early physical copies is a real thing, and it has consequences. We've seen games like Red Dead 2, GTA 5, and countless other games. But for a game where a single story leak could genuinely damage a cultural moment 13 years in the making, the stakes of an early physical leak are uniquely high, and I do understand as to why Rockstar have landed on that solution. But leak prevention is not the complete explanation. And again, I think I had that as a reason, but I didn't accept it. I use that as a reason why I understand as to why they did it, but I don't accept it. And I think accepting it, as such, lets Rockstar off the hook for something more significant, because the no disc decision doesn't just prevent leaks. It eliminates the second-hand marketing entirely. Like, once you redeem that code, it's in your library. It's like a digital purchase. You can't resell it. You can't lend it. GameStop cannot stock used copies. The entire secondary market for GTA 6 physical copies simply does not exist. And it's worth an enormous amount of money to Rockstar and Take-Two. The secondary market for physical games represents billions of dollars in transactions that publishers, currently receive zero revenue from. Eliminating it, even under the cover of, leak prevention, is a financially transformative decision. And I think consumers deserve to understand that both things are true simultaneously. The leak prevention concern is real, and the financial motivation to eliminate secondhand market is also real. And when those two motivations point toward the same decision, it's worth being honest about the fact that financial motivation exists rather than preventing the decision, and saying that was purely about protecting the launch experience and not having, the game being leaked. And I think the preservation argument is the one that genuinely keeps me up at night, though. Games are cultural artifacts. GTA Vice City, San Andreas, GTA 4, GTA 5, Red Dead Redemption, Red Dead Redemption 2. These are pieces of cultural history that document what gaming was at specific moments in time. Physical media is how artifacts survive. We have games from the 1980s that still work because they exist on physical media. That doesn't require servers. In 50 years, when someone wants to study GTA 6 as a cultural document of 2026, the Florida satire, the social commentary, what is said about the moment it was made, what would they play it on? The servers would probably be gone. The license would have been expired. The code in the box would just be a piece of cardboard. And we're in the process of making an entire generation of games unpreservable. And, some people might be treating it as a minor packaging detail, just to prevent leaking. But now I do want to address the, broader pricing conversions conversations actually, because I think it connects to everything I've been talking about in a way that's important. So where does all of this leave us? I want to be careful here again, because I don't want to end on a note that misrepresents how I actually feel about this game. GTA 6 is going to be extraordinary. I believe that with everything in me. The trailers, the world design, the ambition, evident in everything Rockstar has shown. This is a studio operating at the absolute peak of their creative powers, building something with a scale and seriousness of purpose that the medium rarely sees in gaming. And the satire is going to be sharp. The story is going to be emotionally significant in ways people aren't fully anticipating. The world is gonna feel more alive than anything we've ever experienced before. And I think November 19th is gonna be one of those historic moments in gaming. And I'm excited to be here for it. But I can hold all of that, every bit of that genuine excitement and admiration in one hand. But in the other hand, I can also hold a clear eye recognition that the content locks are, they're just a predatory design system. I think the no disc decision eliminates consumer rights under the cover of legitimate concerns, and the pricing strategy was developed in conversations with Wall Street rather than conversations with players. And the Ultimate Edition upgrade path is just a mobile game conversion mechanism, dressed up in premium clothing. These things are not something that are contradictions. You can love something and then still clearly name what's wrong with it. You can be excited about November 19th and still refuse to let that excitement be used as a justification for practices that deserve scrutiny. And honestly, I'd argue that's exactly what being a genuine fan of something looks like. You're not uncritical, you're not you're cynically dismissing the situation, but the willingness to say that this is extraordinary and this is not okay in the same breath and mean both of them equally is a 10 out of 10 every time. Because the only thing that actually changes how this industry behaves is consumers who are willing to do that, who celebrate what's great and then push back on what isn't. Who don't let the quality of the experience become a blank check for whatever comes packaged around it. This has been a long-winded rant. I've talked a lot about stuff, and I do hope this kind of adds onto the conversation of how, this whole topic is being addressed by people and what you think about it. But yeah, again, do let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. YouTube, thank you guys for listening. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay safe out there. Any feedback from you guys would be greatly appreciated. That was long.